Checkers, 21st birthday party at the Peppermint Lounge. New York City, 1961, and here I am. Employed by Columbia Records, out every night. Dance clubs, jazz clubs, from the Village to Harlem. And I'm this privileged little white girl moving along with Columbia's colorful entourage to be entertained by our Negro recording artists whose music is just exploding into the mainstream. I was pretty green when I first got to New York City. Oh, but I've grown up in new ways. I dress in nothing but black. My cigarette intake, it's up to 2 packs a day. And I can say fuck like I mean it. And my days and my nights are like going around and around and around we go again. It was exciting. It was exhilarating. And it was exhausting. Even for a 22-year-old. And my college sweetheart back in Florida kept sending letters, come back. And then Christmas was coming and I was homesick, so I quit. Cocoa Beach, Florida, 1963, back in the South. I'm a news reporter for the Orlando Sentinel. It's about 4 o'clock. I'm just coming out of a commission meeting. Geez, I'm on deadline. I'm always on deadline. And I'm racing down this tree-lined street, and I turn the corner, and whoa, there's this huge crowd of Negroes coming down this tree-lined street, this white residential street. It's been a while since I've seen this many colored people, but they don't look anything like my suave and sassy New York City friends. There's an uncertainty about them. They're walking in these quiet little tight clusters. And now as they get closer, I see, oh, they're young guys my age and teenage boys in t-shirts and blue jeans, faded and patched, but clean. Some with a visible ironed crease. Hey, I'm a Sentinel reporter. Can I talk to you? And a little group breaks out and comes towards me, led by this especially tall kid. He's all legs in these flooding blue jeans, hitched up with a broken belt strap. Afternoon, miss. My name's Pete. You say you's a reporter? You don't look like no reporter. Where's your camera? Darn, and I always carried it with me, this Yashica with a strobe attachment. It's back at the Sentinel office, and I'm going there now, but I'm right on deadline. Can you just tell me, what's going on here? Where are you going? We gonna play basketball at your rec center. But you have a rec center of your own. Damn. Segregationists couldn't have said that. Our court's been tore up for months, miss. And we got to practice for the Negro Leagues. They coming up real soon. And then this youngster with long, slender hands holding a basketball like a trophy says, and we can play real good. And we ain't leaving till they lets us in. Ain't that right, fellas? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hush, Junior. We're going to be respectful like Dr. King says. That's what this is. A sit-in. Uh-oh. Police is coming. We didn't mean no harm, miss. See, we just wants to play basketball. Listen, I'm going back to the Sentinel office. I'll be right back. I'll bring my camera. Now, y'all be careful, you hear? So I raced back to the office to be greeted by my editor. Well, look who's decided to show up. Geez, Jeannie, I'm holding up page 1 for the commission story. Now, you got 10 minutes max. Oh, Walt, I have a much better story. Our first sit-in right here in downtown Cocoa. Interesting. Well, we're not covering that. But Walt! Commission story now. So I go over to my typewriter and I bap out the commission story, hand it to Walt. He reads it, nods, and hands it off to Big Shirley, who sits at the teletype machine with his cigarette always dangling out of her mouth. And she cues my story into the teletype machine, goes directly to the Orlando press room, 40 miles away. Okay, I'm done here. Good night, all. She goes out the back door with Walt right behind her. Click, click. No one else around. Mm-hmm. So I head over to my beloved typewriter. So different from today's computers, where your fingers are just restrained to these little click, 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 click. On a typewriter, you can bang on those keys and sling the cherry. Work with me, then you ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. And then you rip out the pages, pencil your edits, and then you walk your story over to the teletype machine. Yes. And start sending it directly to the Orlando Sentinel press room. Click, click. Uh-oh. That's Walt. Jeannie, if you persist in sending this story, you'll lose your job. Probably lose my job. Oh, you're such a young idealist. Let me give you the facts here. Martin Anderson is the publisher of this paper, and he owns this paper. And he said, how many times have I heard him say it? On my dead body, is the Sentinel ever going to publish a story designed to advance the cause of the Negro? Now, just go on home, Jeannie. Forget about all this. But you know, kid, you did write a hell of a story. Come on, I'll let you buy me a beer. (1966), San Francisco. I'm the administrative assistant for a small youth organization south of Market with offices above this row of garages in an alleyway. Our director, Orville Luster, is this tall, imposing black male, 6'4", with a wide girth and an ever-present cigar. I go downtown to raise money for our kids. Meet with corporate leaders, white dudes, in their starched white collars, sitting around these huge boardroom tables in rooms that overlook the city. I walk right in, carrying a cardboard box, and I dump it on their fine table. Rusted chains, flat irons, ice picks, bazookas. Good morning, gentlemen. These are a few weapons surrendered to me, my street workers, my boys, my staff. See, I don't hire degreed social workers. Shit. I hire ex-gang leaders with arrest records who've decided maybe the straight way is the better way to go. and then I train them. Send them back out into those streets. Get the young kids to give up the goddamn hustle. Get away from those gang wars. Surrender your weapons. Come with us. We're going to paint houses in the projects and rebuild playgrounds. You can earn some legitimate cash and feel good about yourselves. My street workers go where the kids are, hanging out in those all-night diners, the pool halls, favorite street corners, where trouble's just waiting to happen. I tell them, get the school dropouts, take them back to school, and then make sure they got paper and pencil. We bring them to A table meetings. A as in ass on the table. To air their grievances with police officers. These guys who often ain't got nothing better to do than to sweep our kids into jail. And then, when a kid's arrested, a street worker stands beside him in court. And the judge will often release him to our custody. And then, for a sweet little while, we got him to redirect those energies, those talents, those ambitions. See, you look at these kids as juvenile delinquents, and you're scared of them, right? We see them as young people with dreams and so goddamn much potential. September 28th, 1966. It's close to midnight. I'm at my administrative desk. There's a bunch of juvies scattered around me, and we're waiting for our street workers to come back. It's hot. It's been hot now for days. And in Hunters Point, when a white police officer shot and killed a black youth running from a stolen car, that neighborhood erupted. And our street workers were called in to help maintain peace. We just heard a news bulletin that 2,000 National Guardsmen are going to be coming in. That's serious. Finally, one of the kids says, "The street workers are coming." Oh, thank God. And they spill into the room. I've never seen them like this. They're gasping. They're hugging each other. Some of them are crying, and they've got soot all over their face, and they smell terrible. And the juvies pull away and say, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay." Finally, T-Bone speaks. It's a motherfucking war out there. In my neighborhood. The niggas, I've never seen them this angry. They're throwing bricks, they're looting, the burglar alarms are going off, there's fires everywhere, and the niggas are shouting, "Burn, baby, burn!" It was pretty exciting for a while, and then fucking a Molotov cocktail lands right in front of me, and I say, "Not here, motherfuckers! This is Matilda's beauty shop. My mom's sister, my auntie, for Christ's sake!" And I grabbed a hold of this kid, and it's Spade. You know that kid we just got off last week? And he says, "Don't worry, T. We're heading downtown. Ferryville." And then I swear to God, it was like the tax squad heard him. Here they come. Some of them got bayonets, and they're throwing stink bombs and smoke bombs, and they're pushing us back and pushing us back. I say, "Motherfucker, get your hands off me." A bunch of us break away. we're running down Paloux, and we turn the corner, and I kid you not, coming down 3rd Street in my neighborhood, there's a fucking military tank. This is not Vietnam. And there's guys sitting up there. They got the camouflage on, and they're pointing rifles right down at us. And they're shining flashlights in our eyes. And then this bullhorn voice says, "We have orders to shoot to kill to restore the peace." Ain't that a motherfucking shame? Shoot to kill to restore the peace. Fortunately, Orville had other ideas. Very practical. He was paying cash money to the incorrigibles in Hunters Point to work alongside of our street workers. But one night, I don't know, 3, 4, I don't know, days and nights all ran together, one of these incorrigibles couldn't find Orville. And he came to our office. And I'm at my administrative desk, collating the latest news bulletin. "Where's my money, bitch?" Oh, we don't have any money here, man. Orville keeps it on him, and he stays down at the point. "You fucking white bitch! You want a bullet right here?" And he puts his index finger against my forehead, and he just keeps pushing, and he keeps pushing, and these old springs in my chair tip back. I'm practically on the floor, and I'm staring into this face that I don't recognize. Not only because I don't know him, but because I've never seen hate this close up directed at me. Because I'm white. Juvie's rushing and saying, "Get off her, man, you big bully. She's one of us. Get out of here." He leaves. And I think about how much has happened in the 2 years that I came to San Francisco. I was in my 20s, it was the 60s. We were a mouthy bunch. Get out of Vietnam, support civil rights, free love. And then I found myself pregnant. And so I left those high-rise, respectable offices of downtown San Francisco to come and work in this office, where egg crates are tacked on the ceiling to make it acoustical, and where I learned more than I had wanted to know about generations of people living in the ghetto, the poverty, the despair, and the anger. And now, this division between the races is more to me than questions, philosophical, moral, political, to be discussed with friends over a nice dinner and a bottle of wine. Now it's personal. Because the child I carry is biracial. The coming together of a life, black and white. So, come back with me now, 2 years before the riots, when my dearest friend, Nancy, we moved at age 25, all the way from Florida's East Coast to come to this fabulous city, where little cable cars climb halfway to the stars. She got a job as a nurse. I got a job as a radio scriptwriter. We rented this great apartment on Nob Hill. And mornings, I walk just half a block to go to my new job. And the gripman is this long, tall Negro. And he flirts with me. At my stop, he always says, "Hey, pretty woman, let me take you out tonight." And flushing, I always just walk away. But one morning, I heard these hoots and hollers, and I turned around. "What are you doing? You've jumped off the cable car." "I'm going to keep following you till you give me your phone number." No. I keep walking, he keeps following, and now the guys on the car are saying, "Yeah, go for it, man." So I give him my phone number. And we begin to date. He takes me to these wonderful little jazz clubs, dives, down in the Fillmore. Treats me like a princess. And often now I ride with him, admiring his skill on this impossible little wooden car that goes down and up the hills of San Francisco, with riders jumping off and jumping on, and horns honking, and there's total chaos. And he's just having a ball and ringing that bell. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. No wonder, for 2 years in a row, he won the annual cable car bell. And later, he played his bell on the concert stage with Arthur Fiedler and the Boston Pops Orchestra. One night, he invited me to his home for dinner. And as I walked in, I said, "Oh, it smells delicious. What are you cooking?" "Oh, baby, you never had red beans and rice before?" "No." And so I sat down to my first soul food dinner. Delicious. "So, little woman, pretty woman, when you going to marry me?" "Oh, well, this was just supposed to be for fun. And besides, I knew he had a lot of other pretty women." So I began to pull away. But then one afternoon, the doorbell, the buzzer rang for the doorbell downstairs. "Hello?" "Oh, hi, Al." "No, I'm sorry." "I know, I miss you too. Maybe for just a few minutes." We had a wonderful afternoon. Yeah, you get it. So I think I don't have to say anything more about that. But then, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks later, no menstrual cycle. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was practically a virgin. And even when I wasn't being a virgin, I practiced the ribbon method like a good Catholic girl. Please, God, it's a tumor, right? Benign. Finally, I went to see a doctor. His examination was short, and he invited me into his office. "So, Miss Snyder, will you keep the child?" No. I don't see how I could do that. Well, there are other options. Abortion is still illegal, but I can perform it for you in the safety of a hospital. Oh, I can't do that either. Okay? Adoption. Yes. Adoption. But not if it's through some institution. See, when I was very young, my mother was quite ill, and I was placed temporarily in an orphanage, and we kids used to sneak downstairs to stare at those basement babies. I have a nurse, fine woman. She and her husband are both colored, and they've never been able to conceive. I'm going to talk to her about you and this baby. And at first, the couple was so excited, and I was so relieved. But then, a few months later, on a visit to Dr. Herzog, he said the couple were having a lot of second thoughts, and the adoption was looking iffy. I wandered around downtown. What to do? What to do? Line, Christine.
I wander around town.
What to do? What to do?
I found myself waiting for the bus.
Finally, I found myself on Market Street, waiting for the bus. It's cold now, and the fog rushes in and makes these wild images around the streetlights. And there's no business people now or tourists. They've all gone home. It's just me and street people. This young man, he reaches into a dumpster, takes out a half-eaten piece of pizza and shoves it in his mouth. And this woman with no teeth, she keeps pacing and pacing the gutter, and she pulls out a little stub of a cigarette, straightens it out, lights it, and says, "You want a puff, sweetie?" No. No, thank you. They're beginning to bed down now for the night, claiming doorways, covering themselves with newspapers, foul-smelling blankets. These people, they were all some mother's child. What happened? Where are their homes? Home. That's what I'll do. I'll go home to Mom and Dad. All right. Home. 3,000 miles away in Cocoa Beach, Florida. I could just picture it. Standing in front of them in that familiar living room. The two of them on the blue couch. The pain in my daddy's eyes. My mom should be hysterical. Oh, Jeanne, what have you done to yourself and to us? Arthur, what will the neighbors think? That scene never happened. And of course I didn't go home. How could I possibly bring an innocent baby into that atmosphere of shame and prejudice? And I couldn't tell Al, because I was sure he'd say, "Oh, well, let's just get married." And I didn't see how that could work. No, I'm not strong enough to do this by myself. I mean, the money, where would the money come from? This was 42 years ago. There were no credit cards. Was there welfare for unwed mothers? For these babies whose birth certificates they stamped illegitimate? And a biracial baby? This was even before Archie Bunker and light years before Barack Obama, our country's first biracial presidential candidate. A few days later, the phone rang early. Jeannie, this is Dr. Herzog. The couple have reconsidered. The adoption is confirmed. Oh, sweet joy in the morning. Thank you. May 13th, Mount Zion Hospital. And with my roommate Nancy, who never left my side, I delivered a baby girl. And that evening, my most unfavorite nurse came in carrying a food tray. Really, miss, you must eat something. No, I've told you over and over again. Women who give away their babies for adoption are not allowed to see them. It's the hospital rules. What are you doing? Get back in that bed. No, you are not going down to the nursery. Oh, all right, I'll speak to someone. Medical director's going to hear about you. Finally, a gentle knock. And a pretty young nurse, with a long blonde ponytail, came in carrying an infant and speaking in the baby's voice. Hi, Mom. Look at me. I'm just so healthy and I'm so cute. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to leave her alone with you. Well, maybe for just a few minutes. Thank you. Hello. It's funny how I'd heard that new mothers, one of the first things they do is count their baby's fingers and toes, each a small miracle. Teensy, teensy spider, that dear little face, and those eyes. She knew me. And I vowed, no matter all those fucking documents that I'd signed to the contrary, that one day I would see her again. Two weeks later, I returned to my job at Youth for Service, which actually surprised me. I had thought of this employment as temporary, good place to hide out during my pregnancy. But now, the work we are doing with at-risk Negro youth is even more important to me now. Riots are breaking out across the country. Watts burns. In Detroit, 43 people are killed. Here in San Francisco, when a white police officer shoots and kills a young youth running from a stolen car, that neighborhood erupts. 10 days of rioting. And the Chronicle makes note of how impressed they are with our street workers who are helping to restore the peace, and keeping from the violence from spreading into the white man's domain. And now, this little flea-bit agency of ours, we are high profile. Chamber of Commerce, labor unions, politicians, corporate leaders flock to our office. It appears that these young people have connections with you. These angry young people. They say they want jobs. So we're prepared to bring employment programs right down here to your office. Of course, we'll need a proper space. Oh, the excitement. We cleared out this little room in the back, and the kids painted the walls, and donated chairs were brought in, donated tables, and even an industrial-sized coffee pot. And now, we were ready. But when the corporate officers met the kids, went something like this. We're having some difficulties here. It's not a matter of race. We want to make that perfectly clear. But you're young people. Well, they're not very polite. And most of them are high school dropouts with arrest records. We're very sorry. And they would hurry back to the other side of Market to go to their high-rise offices. But shortly would get a letter with a big check to continue your very important work. One morning, here comes another group. This one from the Grand Standard Oil. And leading the group is this recruitment specialist, this bold, dashing young Negro in a three-piece suit. And behind him come the silver-haired executives, and behind them come the street workers ushering in the kids. Fucking A, man. Dudes ain't gonna give us no jobs. It's a waste of time. Go on. Go on with you. Behave yourself. We'll get you hamburgers after. And I come in mostly to check on the coffee pot. The kids hated to change it. It was so big. And so what they would do, they would stand up on the table and then pour hot water over used grounds, which didn't taste very good. So I'm checking out the thing. Oh, honey. And I'm listening to this recruitment specialist. He's actually using words like fringe benefits. Retirement program. No, didn't say retirement. And the kids are sitting there like, oh, this bullshit, how long we have to stay here? And they're getting rather like, but then that recruitment specialist, he stopped talking. He took off his jacket, ceremoniously put it on the back of the chair. The kids are saying, what's going on? And fuck, I don't know. He loosens his collar, unbuttons his shirt, rolls up his sleeves, taking his sweet time. Okay, you motherfuckers, let's talk. And the dialogue in that room, it was like popcorn. and Cool Breeze jumped up and he said, yeah, we sick of you guys coming down here talking about how you can't give us no jobs. I mean, just because we ain't got no diplomas and we got some rap sheets. Young man, my company has decided we're going to be very lenient in reviewing arrest records. And for the first time, Standard Oil is going to relax its policy of hiring only high school graduates. But you will have to take written employment exams. Oh, there's all this murmuring going on. Excuse me? See, a lot of our kids can't read. Mr. Schottler, take a note. Tutors, we'll bring tutors down here. And another thing, I don't know if you've noticed, but none of our kids wear eyeglasses, and a lot of them need them. Mr. Schottler, eye examination, glasses for those that need them. Now, my company has already agreed to pay for your medical examinations and your inoculations. Fuck no! I ain't seeing no doctor, and I definitely ain't getting no shots. You will if you want to work for my company, young man. Now listen up, you guys. I'm going to get you ready. I am going to stick on you like white on rice. I am committed to getting you guys jobs. And you're going to walk in there. You're going to have job interviews on the station. And you're going to stand up straight. You're going to wear not decent clothes, not these day-glow outfits and nanny rags. You're going to walk in there. You're going to stand up straight. And you're going to act like you got the sense that God gave you. And when the man asks you your name, you're going to give him your name. Not these silly-ass T-bones and chasers and spades and Mr. Cool Breeze. You're all right, my man. Operation Sparkplug employed 27 of our kids. And that number represented 10% of Standard Oil's gas station attendants in the San Francisco area. But the problems continued. Attitude was a big one. Tardiness, absenteeism. See, our kids hadn't had the example of adults who went to work every day on time. Patiently, John mediated every situation at the stations. Impatiently, he demanded that next step. All right, you guys, and we got some gas jockeys, but now we're going to identify those kids with promise and move them up into assistant management positions. Whoa, that was pretty big. Ronnie was one of those kids. Gee, I hated to lose him. He was such a good coffee maker. But mornings now, I pass him. That big Standard Oil station at the corner of Fell and Masonic. And he's out there spit polishing his gas pumps. And I'd honk and he'd wave. Oh, he looks so good out there in his little white uniform and his white cap. Then one day I noticed, he wasn't wearing his cap. Or the next day, or the next, or the next. But then I saw that his hair was getting bigger and bigger, bigger. The afro was in. So was black pride and black power. Oh, the 60s or something. Pushing through changes that had been just blowing in the wind. And I was privileged to be there. I married that bold and dashing recruitment specialist and became stepmother to his beautiful 6 black children. They had a wonderful mother of their own, but they were with us a lot. And they were thrilled when we introduced to them their baby brother, William Arthur Haynes. And then later, a girl, Alexandra Nicole Haynes. So now, Lordy, I was blessed with children. But always I was aware of that one child who was missing. And finally, 3 years ago, after initiating a search, I reunited with my birth child, Kimberly Harris Hurd, the first of my beautiful biracial children. And it's funny the things you think about over the years. Like when the census forms would come and they demanded in bold letters, check just one box. Caucasian, Negro, Asian, Spanish speaking. And I wondered what one box her adoptive parents placed my birth child. Or maybe they didn't. I know I couldn't. And I wrote letters and I said, I refuse to check just one box and deny my children either half of their heritage. And evidently, a lot of people agreed. Because finally, in the year 2000, the historic census was released with this long list of ethnicities. And you can check whichever box applies to you. And now statistics show that mixed raced children are one of the youngest and fastest growing groups in this country. And remember the naysayers back in the days? Oh, who did so fret when people of two different races come together. What about the children? And I think, oh, it's too bad that they hadn't the opportunity to know mine.
Beautiful.